Hello and welcome to Unit 5 Quiz Review. The seminar archive did not record, so I'm doing this for you and putting it in YouTube. So let's begin for Unit 5 Quiz Review. So one of the problems, the Acme company's bonds mature in 10 years, have a par value of $1,000, okay? And it pays a coupon of $50 at 5% rate. So today the market rate is 10%. So how much are you willing to pay for these bonds? So obviously you have to discount this and find the present value of the bond, what the price that you're going to pay today. So using Excel, we use the present value function in Excel, okay? So par is 1,000, market is 10 today, coupon is 5, that means it pays us $50 right here, and we have 10 years. So click on the present value function, enter in the rate, the current market rate of 10%, that's what you're discounting at, and the years are 10, and net periods or N per, and the future value you're going to receive the $1,000, and the payment is $50. All of these are positive values, and that's the same thing you would do in your distinguished scholar also. So you can enter the payment for the interest part and the principal, the future value, and it'll calculate the present value of the bond, which is $692.77. So it is a negative value because the present value is what you have to give up today to get the 1,000 in the future, plus $50 every single year for the next 10 years. So that's similar to one of your problems on the quiz. So let's do problem number 2. So in problem number 2, same type of a problem. The issue matures in 20 years, has a par of 1,000, again a coupon of 5%, and the market is at 7%. What price should the bond sell? Again, a present value problem. Okay, so the market rate is 7%, coupon is 5. That means you're being paid $50 every year on the $1,000 bond. 1,000 times 0.05 is 50. 20 years now. So you click on the present value function, enter the rate, market rate as 7% or 0.07, and the time as 20 years or net periods as 20. Future value is a positive $1,000 value. Type is 0, and in the payment window, payment part of that window, you'll enter $50. So it'll give you a present value of $788.112. That means that bond is worth $788 if you're to earn that 7% interest rate and hold it till maturity. That's how much it's worth as of today. So similar to problem 1 again. So it's the same thing. So moving on to the next problem, rate problem. You're not solving exactly for the rate, but we're calculating the risk premium. So this should be, I should correct that and delete it and make it UBS. Okay. So let me make that shift and make that S. Okay. So UBS issued BBB bonds 2 years ago. It provided a yield to maturity of 12%. So long-term government bonds are giving us 9% at that time. Long-term risk-free means if you're going to invest in the government bonds, you will get guaranteed 9%, no risk at all, default risk. And so when a corporation is paying the 12%, why is it compensating you that extra 3% for taking on the risk, right? So that 3%, you're being compensated for taking on additional risk buying corporate bonds. So the current risk premium on BB bonds is half of what it was 2 years ago. So if the risk-free bonds today are currently yielding at 8%, how much should you issue your bonds at? Obviously, you don't want to pay the 9% of last year because the government bonds are giving 8%. So you want to issue at 8% plus whatever the risk premium is. Last year, we know the risk premium was 3%, 12 minus 9. So it's 1.5. So half of 3% is 1.5. So we can issue the bonds at 9.5%. Okay. So the risk premium is corporate yield minus the long-term risk-free government bonds. So if the corporate yield is 10 and the government rate is 5, then we know the risk premium is 5%. You're being compensated for that. So risk premium plus the current long-term rate is your new yield to maturity. So that's how we do that problem. We know it was 12%. The corporations were giving us 12%. They were compensating us for taking on additional risk of 3%. So today the government bonds are selling at 8% and the risk premium is half of this, the 3%. So 8 plus 1.5 is, so you would want to issue the bonds at 9.5%. Okay, so that is similar to one of your problems on the quiz. Next one is the yield to maturity. That means if you held the bond till maturity, what kind of rate are you earning on that bond? That's what the yield to maturity is. Basically, that's what you're doing. So if you have a 10-year, $1,000 face value bond with 8.5 annual coupon, that means it pays $85 a year, and you know that it's giving you 8%. So what is the yield to maturity? So we have two steps in this problem. First, you need to figure out the current price from the information given in the current yield. We know current yield equals coupon divided by the price. So we know we're getting 8%. So 8% of X equals 85, right? So the price that we have paid for that bond, so if you paid $1,062.50 and you're getting 8% of that is $85. So point current yield equals coupon divided by the price. Coupon payment of 85 divided by price. We're solving for price here. Okay, so solve for the equation, multiplied 0.08p. So 85 divided by 0.08 will give us the present value of $1,062.50. That's what you paid to get the 8%. That's what you're getting now. So in the next part of the problem is you have to solve for the rate, yield to maturity. So you click on the rate function in Excel. Enter your N as 10 periods. Present value is what you calculated right here, the $1,062.50 as a negative number. Okay. Payment is 85. That's what you're receiving every interest payment. Future value is 1,000. Okay. And then I'll solve for the interest that you're getting. You're getting about 7.58 or 7.59%. So when in Excel, make sure you format the cell as a number and 3 decimal places or 2 decimal places at least to get that answer choice. Okay, and this is the exact same problem on your quiz, I believe. So this is a two-step problem, and yield to maturity, you're solving for rate. You're not getting the 8.5 that the bond has stated on that interest rate, but rather you're getting less because you paid a premium on that bond. You paid $1,062 instead of $1,000 on that bond. So that's what that means. Okay, so moving on to the next problem. So basically it's the same thing here in Excel. You would enter your future value as 1,000, present value as a negative 1,062, time is 10, interest payment is 85, type is 0, and the yield to maturity, if you held the bond till maturity, this is what the interest rate you will earn is 7.59%. So format your cell as a percentage into 2 decimal places or as a number, it doesn't matter. Okay, next problem. You wish to purchase a 20-year $1,000 bond that gives the difference in this problem is semi-annual payments of $40. So if you require a 10% yield, what price should you be willing to pay for the bond? So they're asking you how much is the bond worth in terms of today if it pays that much interest. So with semi-annual coupons, remember you need to double the number of payments you'll receive because it's paying twice a year. So there are 40 payments that you're going to receive, 20 times 2. So you need to divide the interest rate. Your annual interest rate is 10%, so divide that by 2. Unless it says periodic semi-annual interest rate, it is assumed to be annual interest rate. So it is 5% per interest period. So again, click on the present value function. Future value is 1,000. Time is now 40 periods instead of 20 because times 2. Interest payment is $40 per period. They gave you that. It's not annual payment. It's 40 per semi-annual. And the yield to maturity is 5% per period, 10% divided by 2. And that'll give you a present value of $828.41. Or you can even use the formula which you have in the book and you'll still come up with the same answer. Okay. Moving on to problem number 6. Rio Corporation issued a 15-year, 7% annual bond of 1,000 1 year ago. Today the market rate is 6%. What is the new price now that they have 15 years to maturity? Again, present value problem. Time is 15, coupon 7%, you're getting $70 per interest period. 6% is the market rate, type is 0, and future value is 1,000. Okay, that's missing here. Future value should be 1,000 in this. Let me see if I have that here. Maybe I don't. Okay. So you should have had the future value somewhere here that says 1,000. So click on the present value window, enter the time as 15, net periods is 15, payment is $70, a positive number, future value as 1,000, market rate is 0.26, type is 0, and the present value of the bond is 1,097.12 cents. That's what the bond is worth today. Next problem is again a yield to maturity problem, solving for rate again. Okay, Brown Enterprises sells the bond for 1,025. They have a 9-year maturity, coupon of $80, and a value of $1,000. So what is the yield to maturity on this? So use the rate function. Okay, so you will get the rate as 7.61. Okay, if you click on the rate, enter the 1,000 as future value, 9 years, time is 9. Okay, then solve for rate and make sure you format the cell as a decimal to 2 decimal places. Okay, so yield to maturity is always you're solving for rate. Best corporation bonds have a 10-year maturity with 10% semi-annual coupon, par of 1,000. Going rate is 14% based on semi-annual compounding. Okay, that's the annual rate. Okay, the 14%. Based on, so the annual rate is 14%. Okay, what is the bond's price? So only difference is the number of periods and the semi-annual compounding. Par is again 1,000. Coupon is 10%. Periods is 2 per year. Years to maturity is 10. That means our number of periods is semi-annual, so it's 20 now. Annual rate was 14%, so periodic rate is 7%, and the payment per period is $50, the 5%. Okay, 10% divided by 2. So the way you're going to do it in Excel again, present value, future value is 1,000, time is now semi-annual, and net period is 20. Coupon payment per period is $50 because it's twice a year. Annual rate is 10, so half of the year you'll receive $50 plus 50 is 100. And market rate is 7% per period. So you're going to discount it at 7%, and that'll give you the present value of 788.12. So this concludes this Unit 5 quiz problems. And if you have any questions, let me know. I know it is kind of late. The seminar archives are not up and running, so that's why this recording. So I'm going to stop this right now.